Marlon stood at the window, looking out at the city lights. He was a tall man with thick dark hair and green eyes that reflected years of worries and worries. His face was covered with light stubble, which gave him a serious look. The divorce from his wife was difficult. They lived together for 15 years, but over time their relationship became strained. Jasmine, their daughter, has always been closer to her mother. When Marlon proposed a divorce, Jasmine chose to stay with her mother. She was 12 years old at the time. It was painful. A year after the divorce, Marlon met his new companion Lorelei. She was young, energetic, and full of dreams. Lorelei dreamed of becoming a lawyer. She was a 22-year-old brunette with big brown eyes and a smile that could light up any room. They met at a charity event. "Hi, I'm Lorelei," she said, holding out her hand. "Marlon," he replied, shaking hands. "Nice to meet you." Their relationship developed rapidly. Lorelei breathed new life into Marlon. She was full of ideas and ambitions. Marlon felt that he could be happy with her again. "How did you spend your day?" Lorelei asked one evening when they were having dinner in a small cozy restaurant. "Not bad," Marlon replied, smiling. "And you?" "I got great news. I was accepted to law school," Lorelei said happily. "That's great," Marlon said, feeling proud of her. "You deserve this." But thoughts of his daughter Jasmine did not leave him. He knew that his relationship with his daughter was strained. Jasmine blamed her father for the divorce. Marlon tried to spend time with her, but it was difficult. Jasmine rarely agreed to meetings. One evening, after a particularly tense conversation with his daughter Jasmine, Marlon decided to talk to his beloved Lorelei about his feelings. "I feel guilty," he began. "Jasmine is so angry with me." "You're doing everything you can," Lorelei said softly, putting her hand on his shoulder. "She's a teenager. She needs time." Marlon sighed. He knew Lorelei was right. But that didn't ease his feelings. He wanted Jasmine to be happy, so that she would understand him. Another year has passed. Lorelei and Marlon got engaged. They planned the future together. Lorelei offered to take out student loans, but Marlon insisted that he would pay for her studies himself. He wanted their marriage to start debt-free. "I can't let you take out loans," Marlon said. "We will manage." "Thank you," Lorelei replied, squeezing his hand. "You're the best," she said. Marlon hoped that he would be able to find payment options and that everything would get better over time. One evening, Marlon was sitting on the couch in his cozy living room, thinking about the upcoming conversation with his daughter Jasmine. He knew it wouldn't be easy. Lorelei was sitting next to him, her big brown eyes looking at him with concern. She knew Marlon was uneasy. "Marlon, are you sure you want to do this?" "What is it?" she asked, gently squeezing his hand. "Yes, Lorelei," he replied, trying not to show any doubt. "I don't want us to have debts. This is the best way out." Lorelei sighed and nodded. She was grateful to Marlon for his decision, but deep down she was worried about Jasmine. The college fund was created specifically for Marlon's daughter, and Lorelei knew that this was an important step. The next day, Marlon decided to talk to Jasmine. He invited her to a cafe where they had often been before. Jasmine arrived, her long brown hair falling loosely over her shoulders. She looked calm, but there was tension in her eyes. "Hi, Dad," she said, sitting down at a table. "Hi, Jasmine," Marlon replied with a smile. "How are things at school?" "Not bad," she replied shortly, looking at the menu. Marlon decided to get to the point of the conversation. He understood that there was no point in dragging it out. "Jasmine, I need to talk to you about something important," he began. "You know that Lorelei is going to law school. We decided that I would pay for her education from the fund that we created for you." Jasmine looked up, looking at her father in surprise. "What?" Her voice trembled with bewilderment. Are you using my money to pay for her studies? Jasmine, I promise that I will replenish the fund. You'll have plenty of time before admission. Marlon tried to reassure her. When you said you wanted to become a makeup artist, I thought you didn't need this money. Jasmine was silent, trying to digest what she had heard. She didn't know what to say. Her feelings were mixed. Dad, it's not fair, she finally said. It was my money. I wanted to go to college. Marlon sighed, realizing that making the right choice would be harder than he thought. I understand, Jasmine, he said softly. I really thought this was the best way out. I'll try to fix it. Don't worry. They sat in silence, each lost in his own thoughts. Marlon knew that the decision to use Jasmine's foundation to pay for his beloved Lorelei's studies was risky. He hoped he could regain his daughter's trust and rebuild the foundation before she needed it. Lorelei was worried too. She felt guilty for causing the conflict. But she knew Marlon had done it with the best of intentions. We'll manage, she told him quietly later, when Marlon returned home. We'll find a way out. Marlon nodded, hugging her. He knew that there would be many difficulties ahead, but he believed that they could overcome them together. 2 years have passed. Jasmine has changed. She became more confident and purposeful. Her long brown hair is always neatly styled, and her eyes shine with determination. Marlon noticed these changes, but did not know how deep they were. One Sunday, Marlon and Jasmine met at a cafe. Jasmine had arrived earlier and was already waiting for her father at a table by the window. She looked focused and a little worried. Marlon came over and sat down opposite. Hi, Jasmine, he said, smiling. Hi, Dad, she replied with a slight smile. I have some news. Marlon noticed the twinkle in her eyes. He was always happy when his daughter shared her successes with him. What happened? What is it? He asked with interest. I've decided to go to college, Jasmine said confidently. I want to study computer science. I have a plan to go to one of the best private colleges. Marlon raised his eyebrows in surprise. That's wonderful, he exclaimed. But I thought you wanted to become a makeup artist. Yes, I've thought about it before, Jasmine replied. But now I have other goals. I want to create my own startup. I need serious preparation. Marlon felt his heart tighten. He remembered the foundation that Lorelei had used for her studies. He knew he had to tell the truth. Jasmine, I have to tell you something, he began, feeling the words stick in his throat. A fund for your education. It's not enough to pay for even 1 year of private college right now. Jasmine looked at her father in disbelief. What? She whispered, her eyes filling with tears. Did you use my money? Used it to train Lorelei. I told you so, Marlon confessed. I was planning to replenish the fund, but I didn't have time. I'm sorry. Jasmine stood up abruptly, her face flushed with anger. How could you? Stop it, she screamed. You're choosing her over me again. Marlon tried to calm her down, but Jasmine was already leaving. People in the cafe turned around, watching the scene. Jasmine, wait, he shouted, but she had already run outside. Marlon sat back down, feeling drained. He knew that he had injured his daughter. He understood that there would be a difficult road ahead to restore trust. Later at home, Lorelei saw Marlon return, depressed and silent. She came up to him, putting her arm around his shoulders. What happened? What is it? She asked softly. Jasmine found out about the foundation, he replied. She's very angry. Lorelei sighed, feeling guilty about the situation. She knew that Marlon was doing his best for their family. We'll manage, she whispered, clinging to him. We'll find a way. Marlon nodded, feeling her support. He knew there would be a lot of work ahead. Marlon was sitting in his office, lost in thought. Suddenly, the bell rang. It was Jasmine's mother. Her voice sounded strained. Marlon, what did you say to Jasmine? "What is it?" she asked sharply. I explained to her about the college fund, he replied. She was very upset. "Are you upset? She's in tears," Jasmine's mother screamed. "Do you understand what you've done? You don't know her at all." Marlon was silent, not knowing what to say. He felt guilty, but he couldn't take the time back. "She's participating in a prestigious science fair," the mother continued. "You don't even know what she does. You've lost her trust." Marlon sighed, feeling his heart constrict with pain. "I'll try to fix it," he said quietly. "It's late," she replied coldly and hung up the phone. Lorelei immediately noticed his depressed state and came over, putting her arm around his shoulders. "What happened? What is it?" she asked. "Jasmine's mother called," he replied. "Jasmine is very angry. She doesn't want to see me anymore." Lorelei sighed, her eyes dark with sadness. "We have to do something," she said softly. "I can return the money to the fund." Marlon looked at her gratefully. "Would you do that?" he asked. "Of course," Lorelei nodded. "For you and for Jasmine. She deserves better." The next day, Lorelei called Jasmine's mother to offer her help. She hoped it would help smooth things over. "Hello, this is Lorelei," she began. "I want to talk about the Jasmine Foundation." "I don't need your help," the mother replied coldly. "We'll manage on our own." Lorelei felt her heart constrict. She understood that it would not be easy to restore the relationship. "I just want to help," she said softly. "Thanks, but no," the mother replied and hung up the phone. Marlon found out about the conversation and felt even more guilty. He realized that the consequences of his decision were heavier than he could have imagined. In the evening, Jasmine came home again, but now she didn't want to talk to her father. She walked past him without saying a word and locked herself in her room. Marlon stood in the hallway, feeling helpless. He understood that his relationship with his daughter was on the verge of breaking up. It's been a few weeks. Marlon tried to establish contact with his daughter, but she avoided him. He felt that time was running out and he needed to do something. One evening, he decided to write her a letter, hoping that it would help express his feelings. "Dear Jasmine," he began, "I want to apologize for everything that happened. I know I hurt you. Please give me a chance to fix this." He left the letter on the table in her room, hoping that she would read it. Marlon had been feeling tense all evening, waiting for her reaction. Meanwhile, Lorelei was also worried about Marlon and Jasmine. She knew she had to support them. One evening she approached Marlon with an offer. "Marlon, we need to do something," she began. "Let's organize a family dinner. Let's try to talk together." Marlon nodded in agreement. He knew it might be a good idea. The next day, Marlon invited Jasmine to dinner. She reluctantly agreed, but she came. They were sitting at the table, tension in the air. "Jasmine, thank you for coming," Marlon said, trying to speak softly. "I want to discuss our future." Jasmine looked at her father, her eyes full of doubt. "What do you want to say? What is it?" she asked, crossing her arms over her chest. "I realize I made a mistake," Marlon began. "I want to fix this. Lorelei and I returned the money to the fund. We will do everything possible so that you can go to the college of your dreams." Lorelei nodded, supporting Marlon. "Jasmine, I want to apologize too," Lorelei said. "I never wanted to put you in this situation. Please forgive me. I'm really sorry." Jasmine was silent, thinking about what she had heard. She saw the sincerity in her father's and Lorelei's eyes. "Okay," she finally said, "but I need time to forgive you. I want to see actions, not just words." Marlon and Lorelei nodded, accepting her terms. They understood that the path to restoring trust would be a long one, but they were ready to take this step. A few more weeks have passed. Marlon and Lorelei began to actively work on the restoration of the foundation. They spent more time with Jasmine, trying to show her their care and support. Gradually, the relationship began to improve. One evening, Jasmine approached her father, her face serious but calm. "Dad, I read your letter," she said. "I can see that you're trying. I want to give you a chance too." Marlon hugged his daughter, feeling relieved. He knew there was still a lot of work ahead, but they had taken the first step towards reconciliation. Lorelei stood beside him, her eyes shining with joy. She knew that their family was finally starting to recover. Together they could overcome any difficulties. So we have come to the end of this story. Please write your opinion in the comments. We will be interested to know it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss new, even more exciting stories. We wish you good luck.